When we complain, we reinforce the identity of a victim. In many cultures, especially those shaped by difficult historical periods, complaining has quietly become a normal way of connecting with others. For generations, people bonded through shared struggles, losses, and hardships. When life repeatedly tests entire societies, speaking about pain becomes almost a collective language. Over time, this habit turned into something more than emotional sharing. Talking about difficulties became a social ritual, sometimes even a way of gaining understanding, sympathy, or a sense of significance. Books and films often reinforced this idea. Heroes were defined by suffering, sacrifice, and endurance. Their struggles were highlighted as proof of strength and depth. Naturally, people began to associate hardship with importance. Somewhere in the subconscious, a belief formed. Only strong or meaningful people experience great suffering. Religion, too, sometimes supported a similar narrative, where martyrdom symbolized holiness and suffering was seen as a path toward spiritual reward. But this perspective may be incomplete and, in some ways, distorted. What happens when we constantly complain? When a person repeatedly complains about life, they are not only describing events, they are reinforcing an internal identity. Each complaint subtly communicates, "I have no power over my circumstances. Things happen to me, not because of my choices. I am dependent on external rescue." Whether consciously or not, the person begins to identify with the role of a victim rather than an active participant in their own life. Psychologically, repetition strengthens belief. The more a story is told, the more real and fixed it becomes, both for the speaker and for those who listen. When several people repeatedly hear the same narrative, that identity solidifies socially as well. Others begin to perceive the person through that lens, making change more difficult later. Sometimes people even feel the need to start over completely in a new environment simply to escape the image they unintentionally created. Complaining versus problem solving. There is an important distinction. Sharing difficulties for the purpose of finding solutions is healthy and necessary. A patient describes symptoms to a doctor to receive treatment. A client speaks to a psychologist to understand patterns and heal. A person asks for advice to move forward. In these cases, speaking about problems becomes part of growth. But repetitive complaining without movement toward resolution often drains energy, both for the speaker and the listener. Instead of creating change, it reinforces helplessness. Over time, people may unconsciously distance themselves, not out of cruelty, but because constant negativity feels emotionally exhausting. The adult response to difficulty. Emotional maturity is not the absence of struggle. It is the willingness to face challenges with agency. A psychologically mature person tends to ask, "What can I do about this? What is within my control? What step moves me closer to a solution?" They may seek help, consult specialists, or learn new skills, but they remain oriented toward progress rather than prolonged suffering. In contrast, habitual complaining can keep attention fixed on the problem itself, sometimes even deepening emotional attachment to hardship. Changing the inner dialogue. An important step is noticing not only what we say to others, but what we repeat internally. Replaying grievances in our thoughts strengthens emotional patterns and keeps the mind anchored in past frustrations. Gradually replacing complaint with reflection, curiosity, or constructive questioning shifts our internal atmosphere. Instead of asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" we might ask, "What can this situation teach me, and what can I change next?" Small shifts in inner language can reshape how we experience reality. A different perspective. Life does not require suffering as proof of strength or worth. Growth can come through awareness, responsibility, and conscious choice, not only through hardship. By reducing habitual complaint and focusing more on understanding, action, and self-trust, we begin to reclaim personal energy and direction. And perhaps the most empowering realization is this: we are not only shaped by circumstances, we are also shaped by the stories we repeatedly tell about them.